Hello and welcome to what is Call of Duty Vanguard. Call of Duty Vanguard is a 2021 first-person shooter game developed by Sledgehammer Games and published by Activision. It was released on November 5 for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X/S. It serves as the 18th installment in the overall Call of Duty series. Vanguard establishes a storyline featuring the birth of the Special Forces to face an emerging threat at the end of the war during various theaters of World War II. The game received mixed reviews from critics, with praise towards the entertainment value of the campaign and multiplayer, and the graphics, but criticism for its writing, zombies mode, and lack of innovation. It failed to meet the sales expectations of Activision. What is campaign gameplay? Vanguard's campaign features similar gameplay mechanics previously introduced in Modern Warfare, such as the player being able to mount wielded weapons to flat surfaces, interact with doors and execute takedowns. New gameplay features allow the player the ability to use a more advanced tactical approach in combat, such as blind firing from behind cover, breaking through destructible environmental elements, or creating new paths to complete objectives by climbing walls. What is Zombies gameplay? The cooperative Zombies mode returns in Vanguard, developed by Treyarch in collaboration with Sledgehammer Games. The mode is considered an expansion of the Dark Ether story, and acts as a prologue to Black Ops Cold War's story. At launch, the game features a new map titled Der Anfang, which combines aspects of round-based survival gameplay with the objective-based gameplay of Outbreak and Onslaught, both new game modes introduced in Cold War. Gameplay elements from Cold War return in Vanguard, such as essence and salvage currencies, and Dark Ether-powered field upgrades, in addition to classic Zombies gameplay items like perks and the Pack-a-Punch machine. A new gameplay feature, the Altar of Covenants, allows players to purchase randomized buffs every round, allowing a variety in combat builds. Post-launch updates for Zombies feature additional objectives for Der Anfang, including a main quest for story progression, as well as new covenants and field upgrades. An additional hub map, Terra Maledicta, was also added to the game in February 2022 as part of the Season 2 content update. Classic round-based maps were announced for Vanguard in April 2022, with the first map, a remake of the Call of Duty World at War map Cherno Numa, slated for release in Season 4. What is characters and settings? Vanguard's single-player campaign takes place in 1945 near the end of World War II's European theater, with various flashbacks ranging from 1941 to 1944. The story of Vanguard is told throughout various points in time in a non-chronological order. The flashbacks portray various major battles such as the battles of Stalingrad and Midway through the eyes of the main protagonists. The game portrays the rise of Special Forces, with the first tasked to uncover a secret Nazi project and thwart it. The player takes control of various members of Task Force Vanguard, a team formed by the Special Operations Executive to uncover Phoenix, a secret Nazi project. Members include team leader British Army Lieutenant Arthur Kingsley, his right-hand man Richard Webb, Red Army sniper Paulina Petrova, U.S. Navy pilot Wade Jackson, Australian Army demolitionist Lucas Riggs, and Milos Novak, a Czechoslovak partisan fighter. Supporting characters appear in flashbacks, including British Army Corporal Thomas Jones, Paulina's brother Misha Petrov, aviation machinist mate 3rd Class Mateo Hernandez, Private Desmond Des Wilmot, and Robert Jacobs. Opposing Task Force Vanguard is Project Phoenix, a secret Nazi project led by Untersturmführer Hermann Freisinger aiming to take the party underground. Other antagonists include Hauptsturmführer Jan-Nick Richter, the interrogator of Task Force Vanguard while they are captured, SS Oberstgruppenführer Leo Steiner, the commander in charge of invading Stalingrad, and British Army Major Henry Hams, who frequently antagonizes the Australians in North Africa. The multiplayer mode seasonal story takes place after the campaign, across multiple eras, and features Captain Carver Butcher, the founder of Task Force Vanguard, leading other special forces teams on covert missions to take down global Nazi operations. The final season of Vanguard, which is not canon to the seasonal story, features several villains from previous Call of Duty titles as playable characters: Raul Menendez from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 4, Khalid al-Assad from Modern Warfare, Seraph Jinjin from Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, and Gabriel Rourke from Ghosts. The zombie story takes place in early 1944, and depicts a team of Special Forces operators being drafted into a battle against an undead army, led by Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List, commander of SS Unit Die Wahrheit. Von List possesses the power to raise the dead, thanks to his symbiotic link with a dark ether entity named Cortifex, the Deathless. Assisting the Special Forces team is Professor Gabriel Kraft, a demonologist who was forced to work for von List and help him uncover the dark ether artifacts. Kraft provides the Special Forces operators with other artifacts, which allow them to form their own symbiotic links with 4 other entities: Saraxis the Shadow, Invictor the Destroyer, Nordicus the Conqueror, and Belikar the Warlock. Additional dark ether entities later join the conflict, including Verkana the Last, who allies with the Special Forces team, and Zabella the Deceiver, Cortifex's lieutenant. What is campaign synopsis? Note: the campaign story of Vanguard is told throughout various points in time in a non-chronological order. In August 1941, 2nd Lieutenant Lucas Riggs is stationed at Tobruk as part of the Australian-led Rats of Tobruk garrison. After a failed ambush attempt against a German Afrika Korps convoy, Riggs is assigned to recover supplies for the British Army, alongside fellow Rat Private Desmond Des Wilmot and British Lieutenant Richard Jacobs. Riggs, Des, and Jacobs manage to find intelligence relating to General Erwin Rommel, and destroy an enemy depot in the process, but they were detained by Major Henry Hams for insubordination. In October 1942, during the Second Battle of El Alamein, Riggs and the Rats are ordered by Hams to form a defensive line, but Riggs disobeys the command and tries to retake a hill and call in bomber support with Des supporting him. The two of them succeed, though Des is killed in action. Angered by the disregard for the Rats' contribution to the fight, Riggs punches Hams out of frustration, resulting in him facing prison time. In June 1942, United States Navy pilot Lieutenant Wade Jackson participates in the Battle of Midway with his tail gunner, aviation machinist's mate Mateo Hernandez. In November 1943, while assaulting the Imperial Japanese Army in Bougainville, Jackson and Hernandez's plane is shot down, and the two are captured by IJA soldiers. They are rescued by the 93rd Infantry Division, who later helped them acquire an Imperial Japanese Navy Aichi D-3A to assist the division in reclaiming the island. In August 1942, Red Army nurse Paulina Petrova witnesses the Germans invade Stalingrad. She fails to save her father Boris from being executed by enemy troops, but is able to escape with her brother Misha and several Soviet partisans. Petrova eventually acquires the nickname Lady Nightingale as she pursues Leo Steiner, the Wehrmacht commander responsible for the invasion. In January 1943, Petrova and Misha attempt to assassinate Steiner in Stalingrad, but Misha is severely wounded. He sacrifices himself to buy Petrova time to escape. Petrova eventually confronts Steiner and kills him and his personal army, inspiring the citizens of Stalingrad to reclaim the city from the Nazis. She then sets her sight on Steiner's superior, Hermann Freisinger. In June 1944, British paratrooper Sergeant Arthur Kingsley takes part in Operation Tonga, where he and the Parachute Regiment helped destroy the Merville Gun Battery and several other bridges to assist the Allied forces in invading Normandy. Kingsley befriends fellow paratrooper Sergeant Richard Webb, who would later become Kingsley's right-hand man. Kingsley, Webb, Petrova, Jackson, and Riggs, alongside a sixth soldier named Milos Novak, would eventually be recruited by Captain Carver Butcher to form the 1st Special Operations Task Force, call sign Vanguard. Kingsley is appointed as the leader of the task force. In April 1945, Task Force Vanguard hijacks a train to Hamburg in search of intelligence regarding Project Phoenix, a secret Nazi program run by Frasinger. While infiltrating a Kriegsmarine submarine, the squad is captured by Frasinger's men, minus Jackson, who evaded them, and Novak, who is bludgeoned to death by Frasinger. Vanguard is delivered to the Gestapo headquarters in Berlin, where Frasinger appoints Schutzstaffel officer Jan-Nick Richter to interrogate them. Jackson is also later captured after attempting to steal a plane at the Berlin Tempelhof airport. Richter demoralizes the squad by executing Webb. Being unaware of Project Phoenix's purpose and Frasinger's involvement, Richter attempts to learn more by interrogating Petrova and Riggs about Steiner and Rommel's connection to Frasinger. He deduces that the project was a coup attempt in order to appoint Frasinger as the new Führer of the Fourth Reich. As Berlin falls under siege by the Red Army following Adolf Hitler's suicide, Riggs breaks out of interrogation and frees the squad, while Kingsley kills Richter to avenge Webb. Vanguard pursues Frasinger to Tempelhof, where they finally apprehend him and burn him alive. The four then board Frasinger's Luftwaffe plane, discovering numerous German documents and assets, revealing global Nazi covert operations. Kingsley decides to follow up on Project Aggregate, a secret V-2 rocket facility, and orders Jackson to fly there in pursuit. What is multiplayer and Warzone synopsis? In December 1944, Captain Butcher begins to oversee Operation Vulcan, a top-secret special operations executive mission to hunt down Axis soldiers and scientists who fled to the South Pacific. Butcher deploys with Task Force Trident to Caldera Island in pursuit of Nazi activities, but their plane is shot down by anti-air, leaving the three Trident members stranded from Butcher. As the task force attempts to navigate the island, Butcher stumbles upon the entrance to a Nazi bunker at the beach where he crash-landed. The intel recovered from Caldera reveals that the Nazis were working on a new chemical weapon, dubbed Nebula V. Butcher travels to the Swiss Alps with Task Force Yeti, intending to recover Nebula V from a nearby Nazi fortress. The Yeti members storm the fortress, but are unable to stop the Nazi commander from releasing the Nebula V gas. They barely manage to escape as the gas engulfs the fortress. The Nazis begin to deploy Nebula V across the world, hitting major cities such as Paris and London, as well as Caldera. In March 1951, Butcher dispatches Task Force Harpy to Caldera to intercept a Nazi arms convoy, where they find a radio emitting a mysterious primal sound. Butcher laments that the release of Nebula V has awakened something powerful near Caldera. The island would eventually become a battleground between two gigantic monsters, the Kaiju Godzilla and the Gorilla Kong. As the years go by, the operators under Butcher's command begin to take up mercenary work, in pursuit of Nazi gold and other sources of wealth. By 1976, Butcher leads his own squad, Task Force Immortal, to investigate the crash site of a helicopter carrying a gold shipment, but is met with hostility from Kingsley, who has formed his own mercenary team comprising members of other task forces. What is Zombie synopsis? In March 1944, following the activation of the cyclotron in Project N Station by the Nazis in Morasko, Poland, various ancient artifacts recovered by the SS unit Die Wahrheit are activated, allowing several entities from the Dark Ether dimension to reach out to the real world. One such entity, Cortifex the Deathless, forms a symbiotic bond with Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List, Die Wahrheit's commander, and bestows him the power to resurrect the dead. A team of Special Forces operators responds to an emergency broadcast from Professor Gabriel Kraft, a demonologist forced to work for von List, and is drafted into a new battle against von List and Cortifex's undead army. Kraft assists the operators in battling the undead, by also supplying them with Dark Ether artifacts, which allow them to form bonds with four other Dark Ether entities, Saraxis the Shadow, Invictor the Destroyer, Nordicus the Conqueror and Belikar the Warlock, all of whom wish to thwart Cortifex's plan. The Special Forces operators eventually discover a dark ether portal in Von List's office in Stalingrad, where they find a sealed page from the Tome of Rituals, an ancient spell book that was used to summon the dark ether entities. While the four allied entities devise a plan to recover the missing page, they also learn that another entity, Verkana the Last, has responded to Belikar's call for help and is willing to join the fight against Cortifex. Using a portal opened by Verkana, the operators travel to Egypt, where they continue their fight against Von List's forces and attempt to recover the sealed tome page. Cortifex sends one of his underlings, Zabala the Deceiver, to stop the operators from completing their mission. Verkana guides the operators in recovering the Decimator Shield, a living weapon once belonged to a warrior of Cortifex's Night Legions. Using the shield, they destroy energy orbs chained to the missing tome page in the void, allowing them to recover it. Both Kraft and Belikar conclude that the missing page may have clues as to how they can separate Cortifex's artifact from Von List, severing their connection. The Special Forces operators travel to Shur no Numa, translation, Swamp of Death, a Die Warhite excavation site where Syraxis's artifact was first discovered. The team learns from Kraft that a relic located here was used to sever Syraxis from her original human host, which they need in order to do the same to Cortifex and Von List. Syraxis, however, has forgotten her earlier memories of the relic and is unable to help them. Verkana instructs the team to power up an ancient monolith, which reveals an echo of Syraxis's past. The echo reveals that the relic was a mirror, broken into two pieces. The operators recover the mirror pieces and put them back together. The echo is summoned once more, this time taking the shape of Syraxis. The echo lashes out at Syraxis, revealing that she was once Cortifex's consort, however she was punished by the former for bearing his child, having her memories wiped and herself turned into his servant. The echo attempts to kill the Special Forces team but fails. As the mirror is fully restored, Syraxis's memories return, making her remember Cortifex's endgame, to seize control of an object called the Construct. The Special Forces operators return to the dig site in Egypt, where they use the relic mirror to separate Cortifex from Von List. Cortifex renounces Von List and teleports him to Kraft's location, while he travels to the Dark Ether to claim the powers of the construct. Through Von List and the entities, the operators and Kraft learn that the construct is an ancient living monolith, which has the ability to grant its powers to individuals and make them its Archon. They also learn that Cortifex has sought to become the Archon several millennia before, but was rejected by the construct. The Special Forces team then seeks out and complete 3 trials, which grants them passage to the Dark Ether to face the construct. Kraft, upon learning that Von List has murdered his lover Sasha, retaliates by killing him. The operators enter the Dark Ether and battle Cortifex, who has become the new Archon of the construct. They eventually manage to kill Cortifex and emerge victorious. What is development? Vanguard is the third title developed by Sledgehammer Games in the Call of Duty franchise after 2014's Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare and 2017's Call of Duty, WW2. After World War II was released, the studio went through a rebuilding process regarding the organizational structure following the departure of the studio co-founders and directors Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey. In an interview made by VentureBeat about the rebuilding and the path leading Sledgehammer Games to develop Vanguard, studio head Aaron Halon highlighted that we love our legacy and what we've created, but we also wanted to think about the future of the studio and how we could set ourselves up to be even stronger. We're proud of the decisions we've made along the way that have led us to where we're at today with Call of Duty, Vanguard. Originally, the 3-year primary developer rotation cycle between Infinity Ward, Treyarch and Sledgehammer Games, in which the model was first introduced in 2012, it was expected to be continued in 2020 with Sledgehammer taking the lead to create a new Call of Duty entry alongside Raven Software. Due to conflicts of interest between the two, responsibilities were shifted to Treyarch as they took control over the project, which resulted in developing Black Ops: Cold War in 2020. During Activision Q1 earnings call in May 2021, it was confirmed that the development of a new Call of Duty game is being led by Sledgehammer Games, due for release in Q4 2021. The developer also confirmed this on its official Twitter account. Activision Blizzard President and Chief Operating Officer Daniel Allegra said, "We are very excited for this year's premium Call of Duty release. Development is being led by Sledgehammer Games. And the game is looking great and on track for its fall release. This is a built-for-next-generation experience with stunning visuals across campaign, multiplayer, and cooperative modes of play designed to both integrate with and enhance the existing COD ecosystem. We look forward to sharing more details with the community soon." Vanguard is built on an upgraded version of the IW 8.0 engine that powered Modern Warfare. The game's visuals are developed in part using photogrammetry and new volumetric lighting techniques, while also introducing reactive and destructible environmental graphical details and textures with a damage layer system which reacts to bullet impacts hitting different surfaces. What is reveal? In August 2021, some insider sources began to leak information about Vanguard prior to its official reveal, including its additions and reveal trailer content. Official social media accounts for Call of Duty acknowledged this leak in a humorous fashion and proceeded to tease the game's reveal. Around the same time, the first teaser for Vanguard went live within Call of Duty Warzone, where winning players in any given Battle Royale matches may be sniped from afar by Vanguard protagonist Paulina Petrova during the extraction cutscene. A week after, the title of the game was announced, alongside a reveal event taking place in Warzone. Players got to participate in a limited-time game mode titled The Battle of Verdansk, where every player works together to take down a train, before attempting to escape as WW2-era planes drop bombs on them. The reveal trailer was played at the end of the event, before being posted publicly on YouTube and other social media websites. On August 25, during Gamescom, Sledgehammer Games revealed the first extended playthrough of Vanguard's campaign missions set in the Eastern Front called Stalingrad Summer. This mission gives an insight regarding the initial invasion of Stalingrad in 1942 from the perspective of Petrova as she tries to find a way home after an aerial attack while eliminating hostile German infantry search crews. On September 7, during a nearly 30-minute live broadcast on YouTube, led by the members of Sledgehammer Games' development team, creative director Greg Reisdorf, lead designer Zach Hodson, and associate art director Matt Abbott, in-depth details of Vanguard's multiplayer had been revealed, showcasing some components of tactical gameplay, the variations of competitive game modes, while emphasizing the details of the newly introduced environmental destruction gameplay features. What is absence of Activision branding? Following the announcement of Vanguard, viewers observed that any prominent reference to Activision was conspicuously absent from the reveal trailer. This included the first use of Call of Duty Presents rather than Activision Presents, and the only mention of Activision being in small print for copyright purposes. Publications attributed the publisher's decision with an attempt to distance itself from Vanguard due to the California lawsuit filed against them, following incidents of sexual harassment within the company. In response to gaming journalist Stephen Todilo, an Activision spokesman said that the change was a creative choice that reflects how Vanguard represents the next major installment in the franchise. What is multiplayer beta? An open beta version of the multiplayer was also made available for all platforms in September 2021, presenting a selection of 5 maps and some multiplayer playlists, such as Team Deathmatch, Domination, Kill Confirmed and Search and Destroy, with the newly introduced Patrol and Champion Hill game modes. Those players who reach level 20 in beta would receive a weapon blueprint available to use in Vanguard at launch and in Warzone at a later date. What is tie-in comic? A tie-in comic series had been announced for Vanguard, with the official reveal taking place on October 10, 2021, at the New York Comic Con, attendees at the panel were given a free copy of the first issue, featuring one of the protagonists, Paulina Petrova. On November 4, 2021, Activision announced the comic series would be released for free on the official Vanguard website, with the first issue going live the same day. What is release? The game was released worldwide on November 5, 2021. Pre-orders of all editions grant early access to the open multiplayer beta, a cosmetic weapons pack for use in Vanguard, as well as a Mastercraft cosmetic blueprint and the Vanguard character Arthur Kingsley as an operator, both for use in Cold War and Warzone. The Ultimate Edition grants access to 3 additional cosmetic skin packs, plus access to the Battle Pass of a season for Vanguard, dependent on the time of purchase, and double XP tokens. The Cross-Gen Bundle and Ultimate Edition grant console players 2 versions of the game for use on the previous console generation and the later generation. What is post-launch content? As with Modern Warfare and Cold War, Vanguard's post-launch content is provided free of charge, including new maps, game modes, and seasonal events, while the game continues to monetize via the Battle Pass system and cosmetic bundles featured in the in-game store. In January 2022, Activision announced a collaboration with the anime series Attack on Titan to commemorate the release of its final season. A cosmetic bundle was released on January 20, 2022, in Vanguard and Warzone, featuring themed weapon blueprints and a skin for operator Daniel Yatsu based on the character Levi Ackerman. On February 22, 2022, a bundle was released for operator Roland Zymet, this time based on Reiner Braun's Armored Titan form. In March 2022, Activision released a teaser for an upcoming Vanguard update in April, featuring the addition of Snoop Dogg as a playable character. This marks the second collaboration between Snoop Dogg and the Call of Duty franchise since 2014, when the rapper provided voiceover as a multiplayer announcer in Call of Duty: Ghosts. The Snoop Dogg Operator Bundle was released in Vanguard and Warzone on April 19, 2022. In April 2022, Activision released a story cinematic for the Season 3 content update, which featured a teaser for a crossover with Legendary Entertainment's MonsterVerse franchise. The collaboration was officially announced on April 21, 2022, featuring in-game events and map changes for Warzone, and cosmetic items themed after Godzilla, Kong and Mechagodzilla. In June 2022, Activision announced a collaboration with the Terminator franchise for Vanguard's Season 4 content update. The collaboration features 2 new cosmetic bundles, adding the characters T-800 and T-1000, as they appeared in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, as playable operators. In August 2022, Activision announced a collaboration with the Umbrella Academy comic book series for Vanguard's Season 5 content update. The collaboration features themed cosmetic bundles for the operators Lewis Howard and Wade Jackson, based on the characters Hazel and Cha-Cha. What is reception? Call of Duty: Vanguard received mixed or average reviews, according to review aggregator Metacritic. IGN's Simon Cardy awarded the game a 7 out of 10, summarizing their review by saying, "Call of Duty: Vanguard's highly polished campaign provides a healthy amount of fun, even if its brief length and lack of variety lead it to fall short of the classic pieces of war cinema it's trying to emulate." Clement Go of CG Magazine wrote that Call of Duty: Vanguard falls in the predictable traps of an annual release, but pulls through with a fun campaign and multiplayer at the cost of duller zombies, also giving the game a 7 out of 10. John Walker of Kotaku and Yusuf Cole of Polygon criticized Vanguard's handling of progressivism in the story and characters, feeling it suffered from tokenism and that its attempt to woke-wash history and avoid controversy was disingenuous and cowardly. Walker also criticized the game's lack of player freedom and the artificial intelligence compared to 2003's Call of Duty, and while praising the graphics as astonishing, wrote it was all for absolutely nothing. Vanguard's Zombies mode was negatively received by players and critics alike, with complaints about the lack of content compared to past iterations of the mode. Luke Winkie of IGN gave Zombies a 5 out of 10, writing it had little imagination beyond bigger damage numbers sparking out of the heads of its undead. Writing for Game Rant, Richard Warren felt that Zombies fell short in numerous areas, including its use of multiplayer assets, absence of wonder weapons, and lack of Easter eggs, the latter of which they considered the biggest thing that makes Zombies unique. The PlayStation 4 version of Call of Duty, Vanguard sold 28,321 copies within its first week of release in Japan, making it the 14th best-selling retail game of the week in the country. The PlayStation 5 version sold 12,754 copies in Japan throughout the same week, making it the 5th best-selling retail game of the week in the country. In May 2022, Activision announced that Vanguard had failed to meet their sales expectations, attributing this to the World War II setting and a lack of innovation. What is Quran Pages controversy? Following Vanguard's release, players discovered that the Zombies map, Der Anfang, contained scattered pages of the Quran on the floor, some being bloodstained. In response to criticism from players, Activision removed the pages from the game and issued an apology on Twitter. There was content insensitive to Muslims included in the game, and it has been removed. It was not supposed to exist as it appeared in the game. We deeply apologize. Thanks for watching.